What's up everybody, my name's Manon and you're watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me on my other platforms as well as and including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all linked down in the description below. The full script of this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired, which is very useful for those of you who don't want to keep stopping to take notes or wondering what the hell I even said at some given point. So in the wide world of witchcraft, there are times more often than not that we will sort of nudge the vibrations in our mundane world to bring about a change in conformity with our will. This is called magic, and in witchcraft, we call it spellcasting. Yes, for those of you who may be wondering if witches really cast spells, abso-freakin-lutely. Some cast spells every once in a while, as I do myself, and yet others will cast spells on a daily basis even. These spells can be as intense as to heal a very sick friend or a family member and nudge those vibrations to act towards bringing this person to a better state of being. And some of the spells can be as simple as nudging a certain energy to help progress you through your typical day with a light-hearted spring in your step, so to speak. Some of these spells can be as dark as to blight, mame, and even kill whatever the target may be, and some as light as to assist, heal, and support whatever or whomever said target, and of course, everything in between. These spells come in many different forms, for instance. Candle Magick, Sachet Magick, Chant O Magick, bindings, cord magic, Sigil Magick, Rune Magick. The list can go on for a bit. Today we'll be covering a very special type of magic that has been around for centuries, and this magic is called Poppet Magick. Our exciting and wonderful guest is gonna tell us all about it, so let's get into it and
roll the intro.
Welcome back everybody. So it's got a great episode today where we're going to be talking, like I said, about poppets and everything, and we got a guest here, which I'll probably doing quite a bit more going forward, because I have so many people that have contacted me and they want to share their knowledge and their experiences with everybody too, and on so many different subjects. So I'm probably going forward going to set up a little bit different scenario, but something where it's like a little bit, trying to do it a little bit, different, so to speak. But that being said, our guest today, what's your name? Introduce yourself.
Tourmaline Witch.
Pink Tourmaline. Okay. So that being said, how did you get into witchcraft?
Okay, so I was taught by an old crone when I was in my late teens, early adulthood. And she taught me for about 4 years till she had passed away. And after that, I went on some shamanic journeys, I did some spiritual journeying and read books.
And how old were you when you started working with witchcraft?
So I started dabbling a bit when I was a child, but I started getting into it more when I was an adult. I would practice it more times than others. There have been times in my life I stopped practicing and other times where I just picked it up and kept going. So it's been a journey.
Well, I know you're a very intense witch because when I first started these videos back some time ago, Pink Tourmaline actually used to get a hold of me all the time. And we got to texting back and forth and, back channeling back and forth, where she's from New Hampshire, and is that okay to mention?
Yeah.
Okay. And she would always, like, at least 2 or 3 times a week tell me, like, okay, I'm going into work with this, or I'm going into work with that, I'm going into my circle room and my altar to work with this and that. She was doing stuff like all the time, and I was like, Jesus, I'm like, you are one of the most committed witches I've ever seen. Like, more, I don't practice that much. I practice like maybe twice a month for the most part when it comes to ritual and spell working or something. Really even less than spell working. Spell working like maybe a couple of times a year, but like ritual and everything, with my coven, of course, a couple, like once or twice a month. But this woman, like 3 or 4 times a week, and I was like, wow. I'm like, that takes some dedication. Okay, so you had mentioned that your specialty is poppets and dolls and things like that. So that being said, I know you had mentioned at one point when you were a little girl, you used to make dolls. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I used to make dolls out of coffee filters. They weren't very pretty. They were all wrinkly, and you roll them up in a ball, and you put things in them, and then you make, I would make the bodies out of toilet paper rolls and sticks, and they were so ugly, but they worked.
I know that anybody who follows my channel and pays close attention, they know that the very first spell I ever done in my life was that one with the 7 coins I have in one of my videos. But the very second spell I've ever done in my life actually involved a poppet, and it was for healing for somebody. And I got it from a book called Mastering Witchcraft at the time. I think I was 18 years old, and I got it from a book, and I made it work, and you stuff it full of the herbs, and you draw symbols on it and everything, and I had to sew it up, and I sewed it by hand, and I think that's the only one I ever messed with because I can't sew, I sew like shit, but I made it work for the most part, and and it was that, but I think it's totally cool, the poppets, and I'd like to get more into it, to be honest, especially after talking with you more about it and everything. It's like it's got me kind of excited, especially since you taught me a way of doing it with clay instead of sewing up cloth and everything, which I suck at, so the clay is much easier. Like, who doesn't like to mess around with Play-Doh? Come on, I mean, seriously. So what are poppets?
I don't know. Why don't you go to the next guy?
No.
Yeah, so poppets are dolls that can be molded, shaped. You want to make them out of something malleable. You can make them out of cloth, you can make them out of clay, you can make them out of dough. You can even make them out of sticks, whatever you desire. The material is not so much the issue, it's what intention you put into them. So they can be used for, I'm going to actually go into that. So when I show the dolls.
So, okay, so where do poppets come from?
Well, it's hard to determine how old they are or where they come from. They were found in Egyptian tombs, they were found in Sicily, a lot of different European places. Poppet actually is a term from Britain that means little one, or it's an endearing term, like hello poppet. But we basically use them in terms of explaining our dolls. Like it's a word to use for our dolls, poppet.
Okay, cool. And of course, anybody who's out there and who's seen Pirates of the Caribbean, that movie with Johnny Depp and whatnot, there's that one creepy that one creepy pirate who's always like, where he tells the girl, "Hello, poppet," and it's like that. Every time they said that, I was thinking, I would think of, witchcraft and everything, the whole poppet term and all, and I was like, so it's true. They did totally use that in England all the time, especially in Old England. So with certain poppets and everything, I know that certain poppets, like, you fill them with things. Like, what is some of the stuff, like, how does that work? Like, what do you fill them with?
Yeah, so you can really fill them with anything. Herbs are big. It's good to put oils, crystals, sigils are another one. I use a lot of candle magic in my poppets as well. So it really is a variety of things.
So how do you use candle magic with your poppets? Explain that.
So that's fun. So basically I like to take a candle, typically a smaller candle, and I dress it and then I light it, and as each drop of wax goes into the doll, I state my intention.
That is super cool. Wow. See, that's like something you don't get from books, people. I mean, seriously, that's cool. So I know that a lot of you out there are like, we're talking about poppets, we're talking about these dolls, and I'm sure 90% of you are like, voodoo doll. I mean, immediately, because that's the first thing I thought of too. It's like voodoo doll, and I'm thinking like, oh, we must get all this stuff from voodoo. But I think I'm wrong. I think that the poppets predate voodoo and whatnot, and maybe voodoo borrowed from other things, in that sense. Is a voodoo doll a poppet, or is it, how does that?
Well, a voodoo doll is exactly what it is, a voodoo doll. Poppets are different in their own right. A lot of people think when they're making a doll, they automatically think voodoo doll. That comes from Hollywood. Actually, voodoo is a type of religion, and only people who practice that religion can make a voodoo doll. There's a way to make those that is sacred and special to that religion, whereas a poppet is more eclectic. You can make them your own way with your own intention, going by whatever path you're on.
Very cool. In essence, in witchcraft, like a poppet can be used in any type of. It's just a very general magic, so to speak. And it's a sympathetic magic, I think you said. Yeah. So that's very cool. So sympathetic magic, for those people out there who don't know what that is, sympathetic magic is magic, a specific type of magic that literally states like attracts like. So what it's meant to be like in sympathetic magic, it means like if you create a voodoo doll, it's supposed to be like the person, or for instance, that you're working on, okay? So it's like you're actually creating that person. Another form of sympathetic magic was done in 10,000 years ago. The earliest forms of sympathetic magic were a person would dress up as a wild animal. And this would be before a big hunt that people would go out on, that our ancient peoples would go out on to kill a beast to bring back and feed the villages and everything. So it was very important back then. So important that a priest or a shaman back then would actually dress up like an animal, like a bison or a deer or something, and they would do a little magic ritual where using sympathetic magic, where he would act out this animal, and all the hunters would gather around and symbolically throw spears and kill him. And what they believed and they wouldn't physically kill him, it was an act of magic. It was all symbolic. But in the end, it was believed that if they were successful in doing this, that the very next day they would be successful in their hunt. So that's just a little background on sympathetic magic, where you basically are doing something symbolically to represent the real deal, okay? So what are different types of poppets that we can mess around with?
So I'm going to start off with showing one that is of a person. So this is a poppet of mine that is of a person. I made this out of their very own fabrics, their buttons, some of their jewelry. I have hair in here. I have a picture of them. We put what we call taglocks in these. Anything you can attach the person, birthdays, names, pictures. Pictures are big, especially nowadays with social media. They're so easy to get. But yeah, and you put all your intention, whatever that intention is. And the great part about poppets that you make out of their own cloth is, say you have one intention for them, whether it's healing or whatever, maybe the next intention is protection. Maybe you pull everything out for healing and you put herbs in for protection, and you can reprogram that doll to do that. You don't have to focus so much on making the doll look like them as much as tagging it to them and attaching it to them. So if you're making the doll and you're getting frustrated because it doesn't look like them, it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to be a representation of them. So.
Okay, and to go a little bit further on taglocks, because this is actually a new term for me. I don't really know a lot. I didn't realize there was something called taglocks until literally like a couple of months ago, where some of you actually out there turned me on to that term. In one of my videos, I forget, but a taglock is a taglock is like basically something of a person that has their energy on it, and
right, anything that attaches to that person, and again, that could be pictures, their name, their birthday,
fingernails, hair,
any kind of fluid from them. That is all something that attaches to them. I do want to say that the more you have, the better, but you're going to want more than just the first name Bob.
Gotcha.
Basically what I'm saying. You're going to want something that once you feel like this really locks this into this person, then you're golden.
Hence the word taglock.
Yeah, you don't have to become like a spy and get their fingernails and their hair and everything.
But that's fun.
Yeah, kidnap them. None of that stuff. You don't have to do that. But anything you can get that you can go, okay, this definitely locks this person, then and feel comfortable about it, then yes.
All right, what else you got for us?
All right, I got others. So not all poppets are made out of people. Not all dolls are made out of people. They're actually to do representations. For instance, like this is Ganesh, as a lot of people know, and this is a Ganesh doll, and this would be a representation of Ganesh, just like a lot of people bring representations. So even if like you're the machoist of man, that does witchcraft, and you're like, I don't play with dolls.
That's me.
If you've got one of these,
I don't play with dolls, man.
You're playing with the dolls. So that's another one. It's also can be used for glamour magic. Here's an old Barbie. I've used her for glamour magic before. It's to bring, things into your life. You can use them for weight loss, growing your hair. I did one for growing my hair so I could cut it off. So I mean, really, you could use any doll that in particular to do that. And then also you can use them as servitors. So a lot of people don't really know what servitors are, so I can go into that. So servitors, as this is my servitor, which I made out of corn husk. So yes, so she is a servitor I use for remote healing. So when I have like a friend who is going through something, or somebody says, hey, can you send out healing thoughts and healing prayers to my family member? You see him on Facebook a lot, you know, really trying to put that energy out there. I use this guy, and this is Ginger. And this is a servitor. Now, the great thing about servitors is you can have them forever and ever, or you can release them if you like, but they are made to be here to do your bidding for long periods of time. So that's what I like about these.
Wow. So I know that like I mentioned before, that I dabbled with poppets at one point in my long life, but I didn't really mess with them much at all because they were kind of a pain in the butt to make. But in my opinion, because I only knew of the sewing kind and I just didn't. But you yourself taught me one about with clay, how to make them with clay. And like I was saying, like, hello, I mean, who doesn't like to mess around with Play-Doh from time to time? So do you have one of those as a...
I do, and this is actually a different type of servitor. So this particular one is more for smaller bidding, something where you're trying to bring something into your life for a short period of time, and once it comes into your life, once they do that job for you, you bury them, or you could throw them into the ocean or whatever. These ones are biodegradable, so it's not really polluting when I usually bury mine, and it's not polluting when I bury them because everything in here comes from the earth or is biodegradable.
And you actually taught me how to do this brand of poppet, and is simple, just for you people out there in YouTube land, as simple as this poppet looks, it is so involved. I mean, it is so involved. It's like an entire ritual that is extreme. And like, you don't know this because you're looking at the outside body, but that thing is like filled with like all kinds of fun things on the inside too. And it's really an entire ritual that's super cool. You know, you can learn more about these things, which we'll get into. But what else do you have?
Okay, so here's one that comes from Guatemala, actually. Not the poppet itself, but the idea of the poppet comes from Guatemala. So these I've made for my little one when she was younger, when she would have nightmares, or they're actually even good for adults, you know, when you're stressing about something at work, to get rid of stress, to get rid of things that are playing on your mind at night. And basically what you do is you take a couple twigs, and this one I made bigger, but you can make them a lot smaller. You take 3 twigs, 2 as the legs, 1 as the arm, or arms I should say, and then you put a petition around the body, and then you put the arm in, and then you wrap it, and then you draw a little face. I don't know if you can even see the little face, but let's get closer. So that's
I don't know if it's gonna focus. You know what? I'll zoom into it in post. See, right now the way I have my camera set up, people, it's like it doesn't. That's why I've been telling her to hold everything back here, because it's not. It's set on our faces to focus, so it's not gonna focus on the dolls unless I zoom in. Right. What's a petition?
Oh yeah. So a petition is something you write. It's sort of like asking for your desires, sort of like when you pray and you ask for your desires, but you write it down, and you put that intention as you're writing it down into it. So you can do petitions for not just poppets, any kind of spell work. In fact, I recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like when so one of the spells I like to do a lot, especially during sabbats, certain sabbats, where I'll always work a little bit. I usually don't work like magic during sabbats, but at the same time like spells, so to speak, but I usually will incorporate in different sabbats like little workings, and a lot of that times it involves like writing something down on a piece of flash paper or a little piece of paper and then burning it in like a Beltane fire, for instance. So that's in essence a petition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So I see there's a bunch of other stuff on here at the table that you guys can't see, but I'm looking at a table down here. What else do you got here?
So I have another one that's sort of like what I just talked about, but this is for our daily use. You draw a face on them, you write a petition on the back of them, you put some sigils on there. I like to kiss mine, just to add, because you want to put your DNA on it. So I take lipstick, I give him a kiss, and I carry him around with me the entire day. And then when he's done doing whatever I want him to bring into that day, whether that's good luck, whether that's, you know, happiness, whatever the case may be, whatever energy it is, I just burn them in my cauldron after.
Burn them.
Yeah.
See, as witches, we all like to burn shit. It's that simple.
You love-
Which reminds me, there's a magus that I know of that's in my community that his name is Spellcaster, and I totally love him to death. And the thing is he's an older gentleman, and one of his favorite taglines is, "We're witches and we love to burn shit," which is just, anybody out there, it's the truth. So what else do you have here for us? There's like a whole bunch of stuff here.
So I have this one, which is sort of like the paper doll. You can keep them around longer. I like to put them on altars that I make for like special sabbats. I like maybe Beltane or Samhain or what have you. They're fun and they come in different colors, and it's to bring certain energies there. So what I do is I make them out of these little pipe cleaners here. In whatever color, they come in all kinds of different colors, which is great. Just like the Play-Doh, it's great that they come in a variety of colors. And then after I pick my color, make my doll, I rub it down with an oil, and it's good to go.
So can you make one for us right now? Actually, that would be really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to make. So it's kind of like you get them in half here, and then you start here making this part the head, and I go 1 intention, 2 intention, 3 intention, going into my intentions, right? And let's round out his head. It's kind of got an egg head. There we go. Now he's got 2 arms here. And then we fold that down, and we just do intention again. And that's his leg and his arm. And then we go and fold it down, and then do intention again. And now he's got 2 legs. And then we just spin it with intention, spin it with intention, spin it with intention, and then there you go. Got yourself a little guy there.
Simple as that. A little poppet made right here on Witch in the Working. You saw it first. No, just kidding. So that's really cool. So it's something as simple as that,
Yeah.
and something as simple as putting that energy into it and everything, and that intention is all it takes. Spells aren't that difficult, people. That's really your intention, and what you're putting into it, and that was like a quick little poppet right there, which is.
And you can make them sit down, hold things, and then you rub them down, give them like certain intentions with some oil. Yeah.
Very
It's
cool.
good stuff.
What else we got?
So this one's a little dark. Let's get into some dark stuff. So this one right here is filled with a spirit. And when, I don't know what people believe in, but what I believe in is when you die, your spirit goes on to continue with whatever, it needs to continue to do. I can't say what that is. But sometimes some people just don't need to be continuing. So I put them in dolls. Now, I don't want to say this is something that I do all the time. That's not true. But it is something I've done. So
this is a little bit on the darker side of things, which, hey, like I've always said, Witch in the Working, I'm embracing whatever comes. So, I mean, it's like, whatever it is, I'm just telling it like it is. So
Yep.
This isn't an all love and light channel. Sorry.
Yeah. If you've ever watched the movie Annabelle, it's exactly what you're looking at, is it's a doll. And you can actually put them not just into dolls. I just happen to really like dolls, so I put them into dolls, but you can really put any soul into any object. I've seen people put them into jars, but yeah, I would like them to go into.
In this situation, what you're talking about, that this person that supposedly was once living, it was just a really nasty person.
Yeah.
And just like a really, really super evil. Basically, bottom line, evil.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
But
doll parts. going on to people who, especially people who are vegan, don't like to use bones or dead animal parts. I don't like to use dead animal parts. I'm not vegan, but I just don't.
I actually, in the very last video I just did on divination, I talked about bone casting, for instance. So
yeah, this is my bone throwing kit, and it's made out of doll parts, and I can show like little pieces. Like I got the head. My daughter did the hairstyle. It's really cool. And then, you know, you just rip the doll apart, and it means different things. And you don't have to just put doll parts in it. You can put seashells in it. But yeah, it's like a little bone throwing kit. So this is mine in particular. But if you don't want to use bones, maybe using doll parts would be a better option for you.
Very neat. Very cool. And actually, Pink Tourmaline has an entire video on this doll part divination, and I'll actually link it below in the description below, so that you guys can check that out if you get a chance. It's really cool. I've seen it myself. It's a really cool video. For sure, check it out. And do you have? I see you have another thing here. Like do you have any books to recommend to help us along?
Yeah. So this one I haven't. Gotten many of my ideas from here, unfortunately, but if you're looking for a really, really good book on poppets, this one came out in 2018, I believe, and it's by Silver Raven Wolf.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, Silver Raven Wolf, and it's a really good book. It goes into poppets. I love this book because there's not many books that just specifically look into poppets themselves, and this one does. So if you're really looking to get in serious with poppets, this is a good book for you.
Very cool, very cool. So, is there anything else that you think you might want to mention about poppets?
Yeah. When you work with poppets, you learn to love your dolls. There's one thing that I do want to say is you always want to reward your dolls with whatever that is, whether that's giving them candy, burning them incense, having them watch a movie with you in bed, watch some TV together. That's good. They just want to know that they're loved and that you are recognizing them. And because they're spirits and they want to help you, but they also want to be appreciated.
Yeah, so I know, Pink Tourmaline actually is here in Florida now, but even before, like, she had guided me in making a poppet at one point, like one of the clay ones we just showed you. And one of the things she had me do is after I made it and all, I went through the ritual and did it all. And actually I had gone up to New Hampshire to visit Pink, and we actually did it together. And I brought it back with me to Florida. And when we did that, she actually, like, one of the things I had to do afterwards, because the poppet that I made, the spell worked and it came through, and I'm like, awesome, like everything worked out great. And she's like, okay, well now you have to reward your poppet. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? And she's like, so I had to literally, like, and even when I had him, when he was working for me, I had to, because I had named him and everything, and I had to give him candy. So I went out and bought like butterscotch, and I had put it around. So I had made like a little place for him, like a little altar, so to speak, and I had put butterscotch and everything around it. And so after that, I had given him an ultimate reward, and I said, well, what now? And she's like, well, now you got to go back and, you know, he's done. So you got to thank him and let him know that his work was done good and everything was great, and that you're welcome and that everything's awesome. And then bury him in the earth, you know, so that he can go to sleep now and his work is done. And which I did. And, you know, that was that. And I do have to say, though, that when I buried my poppet, went out there about a week later, and he was not there anymore. Like, he undug himself. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Got up and went to dunks.
and I'm not even kidding. Now, I don't even know, like, what happened. I don't know if he decided he wasn't done yet and wanted to move on. But actually, I went out because I buried him under my mango tree. And I went out there, and there was a hole where I had buried him, and he wasn't there anymore. Most likely, a wild animal came along, dug him up for some reason, maybe because of the oils in him or something, and probably carried him off or something. But who knows? Who knows? It's a mystery to this day. It is what it is. I'm just letting y'all know what happened. But it's very cool. But so anyway, I guess that's it then?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, everybody. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch Into Working. Again, you can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. And my Patreon account will have the script for this video in it, along with many others. It may take me a couple of days to get this script up on the on Patreon, because I've got to get it processed to get it typed out, as to what we said, because this was a wing it video. It wasn't scripted, as obviously, as you know. So listen, what I need you guys to do is please hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell to remind you of future episodes to come. And I love you guys and gals. Blessed be, and we will see you the next episode. Blessed be. Goodbye.